Welcome back, you all, for our final chapter of CHT 204 entitled Chapter 13 Curriculum Planning. There's kind of an old saying that says if you want something to happen, you must plan for it to happen. And so, furthermore, you can add if you want something wonderful to happen with the children in your classroom, then you must make wonderful plans. Although your program can proceed without a great deal of formal planning, once you have it set up, you cannot expect particular results to occur unless you've had and made plans for it to occur. So setting up your classroom into the 10 learning centers that we've described in this course is the foundation for your planning. They will address your principal theme, and they will also help you set up your environment, because we know that the environment is the foundation of any early childhood curriculum. Your classroom, of course, needs to be aesthetically pleasing, meaning it needs to look good, as well as it needs to be set up so that it can cultivate the children's curiosity and their imagination. So once you've set it up, it's up to you, your staff, your co-workers, to plan activities based on the children's needs and interests to promote their physical, cognitive, language, social, emotional, and creative skills. So all of those things have to be taken into account when you are in the planning stage. So planning shouldn't be considered a chore, but a challenge, so that you can make sure that you meet the needs of the children. So in each of the 10 learning centers that we focused on, young children and their interactions with materials, activities, and other children occur in those learning centers. And throughout the whole course, we've talked about that the key to success in helping children develop and learn is to make their learning personal. We know that children ages 3 through 5 respond best to materials and activities that speak to them personally. The overall curriculum must also speak to children on that same type of personal level. They will respond at a personal level, become deeply involved in their own learning in a self-directed classroom if you've provided all of those areas for them. The most successful curriculum plans will be those that begin with the child and branch out in various directions. Okay, and so you're going to include things like the child's family in your planning, friends, pets, neighborhood, community, and finally that natural environment in which the children are in. And we're going to talk about that. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to make a web. Okay. This is the best way I know. Your book really encourages this type of planning. I think this is the most effective way of planning, and it's making a curriculum web. So if you start, this is a personal web. So creating a web will include all of your staff, and it will include brainstorming, okay? Meaning, where do you want this particular exploration to go, okay? And so if you see the picture in front of you, you'll notice that we put the child in the center, and then in a clockwise fashion, we put all the things around it, where we want to go with our planning. Okay, and one thing leads to another, and that's how you get the planning going. Okay, so to begin with your plans with a focus on the child, you're going to take this large sheet of paper and you're going to make this personal curriculum web that you see. And here again, we've put the child in the very center. Okay, we are going to, this is just your beginning, but it gives you a starting point, okay? And so using a web like this personal curriculum web lets you brainstorm your ideas so that you can then in turn come to something like this, which is actually your planning web, your theme, okay? So you'll notice in this particular picture, we've selected the neighborhood as our theme. Okay, so we put it in the very center, and we've put in there where we're going to go. You see right up underneath it, we've listed the field trips we're going to take. We're going to go around our school, we're going to go around our neighborhood. Okay, and then in, once again, that clockwise fashion, we've started and we've listed every center in our classroom and what the brainstormed ideas of things that we could put in those centers that build around the children and the theme of the neighborhood. Okay, so we're gonna, once we've created this web, we're going to implement our plans. So what are we gonna do? We gotta arrange the room to support the chosen theme and the activities within the center. And once we get that going, we're gonna kick it off with maybe in one center, two centers, some kind of special activity that encompasses that neighborhood theme we've got going on, okay? So why do all this planning? Like, why is it really important? Is there any advantages to it? Well, you cannot effectively teach children if you haven't planned, okay? So we know that we have to set it up so that we can accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish. So this curriculum web format will actually allow you to document your curriculum as it emerges, okay? So that you can see what you're doing and how it's working, okay? So when we use a curriculum web, it makes it possible for everyone, including the children, to have a say in the creation of the learning topics and also the planning. So in order to do this, we gotta set aside time to plan. And we're gonna plan our theme in monthly planning sessions, okay? And it's not a time where it's oh, well, I'll work on it on Monday, and then my co-teacher can work on it on Tuesday or whatever. No, that's not how it happens. Everyone comes together at a set designated time so that we can all plan and brainstorm together, okay? We want to know, when we come together, we want to be able to talk about the activities that occurred over the last month and then to make plans for the upcoming month, okay? I think this is so effective in so many ways, but one thing I like is that the responsibility of the teacher is so vast that I think it's great when we all come together and we say, okay, every classroom in our school is going to be doing the neighborhood. Okay, Tracy, it's going to be your job to take care of the block center. So I'm going to be responsible for setting up the block center and getting all those things together, okay? So I'm in charge of that one particular, two particular learning centers for that month at a time so that we can have effective planning, okay? So there's also, there's monthly planning where we're setting our theme, but then there's also weekly planning sessions, okay? So this here again is another opportunity for the entire staff to have input on the accomplishments and needs of the individual children, but also to make that ongoing evaluation for plans for individual children. So it's a great time to ask questions like, is it working? How are the plans going? Do we need to change anything midstream? So why would we continue doing something that might not be working? If we just made one small little tweak, then we could make sure that it's worked, okay? So it allows the staff, when you have these weekly planning sessions, to look back at the needs of the child and decide if these needs are being addressed by the current plans, and if not, make some new plans for the children. So, is there any time in the day where that whole group can come together, where everybody can come together in the self-directed learning environment? And the answer is yes, and it's called circle time. It is important for individual children to feel like they're part of a family or a total group, okay? So your circle time activities are things like songs, finger plays, storytelling, musical games. They're really the foundation or the framework for your whole day starts right in your circle time, okay? So if you are scheduling your circle time in the morning, we know the purpose of this is to welcome the children, make that transition between home and school, introduce them to the things that are going to happen that day. As like, maybe this day is the day the fire truck's going to come. Well, we're going to remind them of that. We're also going to tell them about activities that they may find in the centers. Maybe you do your circle time at the end of the day. Well, what's the purpose of that? Why would you do that? Well, it allows you to recall the daily events, answer or clarify any questions or concerns the kids may have, transition them from school back home. So remind them, like maybe you want them to read a book with their mom, whatever it might be, your mom or dad. So it's time for us, and then doing some kind of goodbye activity with them. Okay. Research does tell us that music activities, story activities, their most successful circle time activities include some form of storytelling or some form of music. Okay, so whatever you plan, we want to make sure that it starts with a high interest activity, and then where we've got the children up and engaged, and then we do like a calming activity, like maybe a finger play or storytelling, where we slow things down a little bit and help focus the children's attention on what individuals are saying. So our circle time activities need to be very high interest and then a more calming activity. Okay, that's it. I appreciate you watching these videos, and I hope it gave you just a glimpse of what the self-directed learning environment looks like in a preschool classroom. I appreciate you taking time, like as I said, to view these and for taking this course. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your instructor.